Hi everyone, welcome to 60 Matthews. I'm Matthew and today I want to talk about minimalism. Now, minimalism is a very broad term. It can look like anything. It can be backpacking, van life, moving into a smaller apartment, or just throwing away a few boxes that you think you need, but you really don't. One of the biggest things to remember, and honestly one of the things that I was scared of most whenever I started to do it, was that it happens in stages. You don't have to just throw away everything all at once. In fact, you should never do that. That's not the idea of it. It's not just moving away and forgetting about everything. It's taking a look at what you really have. There are many different ways to go about it, but one of the most common ways is to reduce gradually. So take a month to throw or give away a few trinkets that once meant a lot to you, but just don't any longer. Or one of your 40 blankets. Or completely go through your kitchen and get rid of that one rice cooker you never use. Or that giant 2-gallon pot you have just in case you need to make a soup for a potluck. The reason why you shouldn't just throw it away all in one go is because minimalism is about taking stock of what you really have, knowing what you really have, and loving what you really have. Over the years, we just collect these things because we're going to use them later, or we think we need this, or if we had this, it would just make our lives happier. I'm one of the worst about collecting stuff. As a kid, I collected rocks and sticks and trash because eventually one day I wanted to make something out of it. As an adult, whenever I started to travel, I collected shot glasses and mugs from all these different places that I would go, thinking, I don't know, I would just have this random wall of evidence that I went to these places. Who knows? And as an artist and as someone who likes to try multiple different things, I have a lot of projects. I have a bunch of different tools. I have an entire screen printing system. I have about 20 canvases, a whole bunch of paint. I've got pencils, pens, brushes, paints, wax crayons, colored pencils, watercolors. For several years, I went through making wax candles for people for Christmas, so I have an entire box of that stuff. I make little tiny polymer clay figures, so I have an entire toolbox full of clay and sculpting tools. I have a bunch of art stuff. But whenever I moved into a van, I got a storage unit. And that was one of the best things for minimalism and for reducing, was putting everything into square footage. Not just thinking of, oh, I have all these boxes, and then I have this room, and then I have this couch, and then I have this thing. I had to put everything literally into a box. So whenever I thought about moving or traveling, I realized that I had this giant box that I needed to bring with me wherever I went. And that's a really large box. I noticed whenever I started throwing away stuff that I would feel very nervous. I would say, oh no, I want it, I want the thing, and then maybe one day I'll use it. And then I would throw it away. And I would feel so much lighter. Slowly, and again, in stages, I watched my storage unit slowly reduce in size. It went from this very packed box to slowly consolidating into something much more manageable. I, along with I'm sure many people, had this romantic idea of reducing everything to a backpack and just going out into the world and being that free. I think the old American dream is dying, if it's not already dead. The idea of owning this nice big house, filling it full of big nice things, putting several fancy cars in the driveway, I don't think many people want that anymore. Look at Primitive Technology's channel. Seriously, look at it, it's awesome. But look at the popularity of his channel. There are not that many people that want to do what he's doing, but there is this romantic idea of just forgetting it all and running out to the woods and just living off the land. I don't think that tiny houses and van life is just this flavor of the week movement. I feel like it will carry over into the future. As overpopulation rises, as trash builds up in the world, we're going to run out of space. Part of the problem with the American dream is that that house comes with an 80-year mortgage, and you don't know what's going to happen next year, much less 10 years down the line, much less 20, 30, 40 years down the line. Who knows? Your house could burn down by then. The economy could crash. You could lose your job. Global warming could explode the entire Earth. Or all the water could submerge the entire planet. Or a hurricane or a tornado could just come in and wipe out your entire town. Optimism, right? But my point is that we never know what's going to happen in the future. And I think that's becoming more evident. And I think that we're becoming way more aware of that now. That may come across as something really scary, but truthfully, it could be viewed in a pretty positive light. I once had the big space of the house and a big tool shed outside that I could fill up with all of these different projects. So what happened is that I would start thinking I was living in the future. I was saying, one day I'll move on to this. One day I'll get to this thing. One day I'll actually go in there and try that. I started living way too much in the future, and I never actually got around to using these things that I had had for 5-10 years. So I stopped living so much in the future and started living in the now. And that's one of the things that minimalism does. It brings you back from the future, it brings you back from the past and all of these memories that you keep collecting, and makes you pay attention to what you have, who you are right now. It makes you think about yourself. It forces you to be organized, to really look through your life and say, this is where this is what I need, this is what I'm working on, I'll get to this soon, I love having this. But that way everything around you, you know what it is, you love what it is, and you don't have all this extra stuff. Now granted, it has happened that I'll throw something away and then a day later or a week later or a month later, I end up needing that exact thing. And sometimes that happens. That's one of the reasons why you do it in stages, to where if you did throw away that one thing, you can get another one of whatever that was, or you can just find a way around whatever that was. That's one of the biggest things that I learned, is that I can learn to live without certain things. Humans are very adaptable. And while that has happened to me, not any of those times has it ever paralyzed me or prevented me from moving forward or broken the bank. If there is something like that that you think would happen to you, don't throw it away. Minimalism is not about throwing things away. It's about keeping what you love. If something is really going to hurt that badly if you got rid of it, then just don't get rid of it and be okay with that. One of the easiest ways to transition into minimalism is to not get rid of it at first. Instead, box up these things that you want to get rid of and put it away. That way, if you do need it, then you can always go back and retrieve it. Honestly, that's one of the best ways, because it is difficult. It is hard to get rid of this thing that you think you love and just watch it go away forever. But I promise, 99 to 100% of that stuff you won't need. After 6 months, or after a year, or after 2 years, or after a week, whatever time threshold you set for yourself, then you can throw it away and get rid of it, and feel better about knowing that you have less stuff now. It becomes very freeing. You throw that stuff away and it becomes this weight that lifts off of you. It frees up a lot of time, a lot of distraction. You spend less time cleaning. You spend less time packing if or when you do move. There's just less stuff and more time. So where are all of my backpackers out there? Where are all of my van lifers? Where are all of my minimalists? Are you wanting to break into the world of minimalism? Are you wanting to reduce your stuff? Are you wanting to gain more time? Please try it. Look more into it, look more inside yourself, and just give it a try. You deserve it, and I promise you'll feel so much better. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.